Welcome into Spring Lake Park High School, the site of tonight's Northwest Suburban Conference matchup between the Spring Lake Park Panthers and the Totino-Grace Eagles. It is a rivalry between two schools separated by less than 3 miles here on Highway 65 in Minnesota. On the call for you, North Metro TV tonight, I'm Matt Dean. We've got a red-hot Spring Lake Park team who are out to their best 10-game start to a season in 9 years. A 6-4 record. Now it's still early in the year, and they're welcoming in this 6-5 Totino-Grace that beat the Panthers in their home barn last year. So two teams that are playing pretty well early. The players to watch for tonight. We talked with the head coach for Totino-Grace, Pilar Onstad. Libby Caspers, a sneaky middle with some size, a 6-footer who can form a tough block for the Eagles. And Spring Lake Park missing a bit of size with a player absence tonight due to illness. That could be a key factor in tonight's matchup. The Eagles beat Spring Lake Park 3-1 last year. For Spring Lake Park, it is a largely intact varsity team from the one a year ago, and that carryover effect has helped the Panthers out to this good start. Nora Schmidt is the newcomer into the varsity lineup, who's emerged as one of the top outside hitters for the Panthers, and her stepping in relatively seamlessly from underclassmen has been a big factor in the Panthers getting out to this hot start. The Eagles and the Panthers coming your way next on North Metro TV.
An apple core, or potato peels, that leftover pizza you promised you'd eat.
Ew.
Those dirty napkins and paper towels.
Stop treating us like garbage.
Did you know up to 30% of what you're throwing away could be composted? Composting gives your discards new life, which can be used to improve soil. To learn more about the new organics drop-off programs available throughout the county and get your free starter kit, go to anokacounty.us/organics.
Hey, back here at Spring Lake Park High School. Both teams about a month into the prep volleyball season, and two rivals very familiar with each other, less than 3 miles separating these schools. Two head coaches very familiar with each other. Joy Johnston is in her 12th year at Spring Lake Park High School, approaching win number 100 in her Spring Lake Park tenure. And for Totino-Grace, her former player, how about Pilar Onstad, the all-time kills and digs leader, a 2017 Spring Lake Park alum, makes her first trip back to her alma mater after the Eagles beat the Panthers 3-1, but that was in Fridley, just across the way last year. Starting lineups for both teams. Spring Lake Park are notably without Addie Wolfgang, their 6-foot middle. We highlighted the imposing middle blocker there, the sneaky Libby Caspers, the 6-footer on the other side. The liberos not listed are Amelia Wordlaw for Spring Lake Park and Ashley Anderson for Totino-Grace. And you'll see at least one of them tap in here to start the game. It'll be Anderson and Wordlaw coming on your starting lineups here in this Northwest Suburban Conference matchup. Totino-Grace out to a 6-5 start. They were swept on Monday in their last matchup at home against Elk River. The Panthers also making a quick turnaround. They swept Park Center on the road 3-0 in their last match on Monday. The Panthers 2-1, the Eagles 1-2 so far in NWSC action. First serve will be taken by Taylor Blana, one of the two setters for Spring Lake Park. It'll be an attack right down the middle from Libby Caspers, the 6-foot middle. Big swing driven right over here by the Panthers. And we got a nice rally here to start out the day. Ashley Anderson with a dump over. Nice little back set there by Blana. And Jade Durkheising drives it too far out the back. So an attack error by the Panthers will put TG on the board here to start. And it's 1-0 Eagles here for the visitors. Annie Hurlbrink, a junior setter with the serve. Nice dig there by Amelia Wordlaw. Little tip shot over, and Durkheising able to find the court that time. She had the attack error on the first and then knots it up at 1-1. Here is Spring Lake Park even it up. All right, a little soft touch there from Durkheising, the 5'10 senior middle blocker. We showed you Pilar Onstad, the head coach of Totino-Grace. That is Jade Durkheising's coach during club volleyball season. So these teams very familiar with each other. An overpass right into the Spring Lake Park block, and Autumn Houston, one of the two Panthers there to bat it back down. SLP have responded with 2 consecutive points after the Eagles drew first block. Ava Tomlinson is a DS who will rotate into the back row to serve. Good lefty service there right on the touchline and through the middle with Libby Kaspers. Panthers will have to shovel it over, but they're unable to. A little miss hit up of the line there by Leah Vrabeck, who tried to finesse it over. And it is back to a 2-2 game here. Totino-Grace evening it back up. The serve rotates back to Haley Sainum, 5'7" junior outside hitter. And she'll get it over with the leaping serve. Panthers pass it to the net. Wardlaw just has to serve it over on the third hit. Eagles get into their stuff, and it's Libby Kaspers with the drive down for her first kill. We highlighted her in the open as a player to watch here for Totino-Grace. Little quick set up of the net, and Kaspers right through the Panther block. And Totino-Grace with the 3-2 advantage here in the Panther gym. Another serve for Sainum. Blana with the set, and Vrabeck drove it right into the Totino-Grace block. Again, the imposing presence of Libby Kaspers. That one driven wide of the line by Durkheising. Another attack error, and it is a 3-0 run here for the Panthers as Durkheising couldn't toe the line. So 4-2 lead. Sainum continues to serve. She's the #1 outside hitter in the rotation for the Eagles this year. Oh, for pass. That's easy pickings for Lily Kaspers, who was one of the 2 Eagles up in the hammer down there for Totino-Grace. Lexi Brands also getting up. It was Brands who was the one who slammed it back there for TG. 5'10" junior outside hitter gets involved with her first kill of the day. And the Eagles rolling here out to a 5-2 lead. They've scored 4 in a row. Sainum again with the service. A good dig there. Nice back row work by Ava Tomlinson. And again, an attack error by the Panthers. That is 5 in a row for Totino-Grace. At least 2 have been on attacks out of bounds here for the Panther end. That one, Leah Vrabeck, unable to keep it within the confines. Sainum again serving here for TG. And that'll drop out of bounds. Nice take there by Brands. And for now, Joy Johnson's going to let the Panthers stay out there and try to work themselves out of this funk. But we might see a timeout here taken from the Panther end in a moment. Sainum still serves. Sainum out the back. That is her first service error of the game. And it will snap the 6-0 Totino-Grace run. So Sainum, the server, rotates out. Autumn Houston gets us back under play. From the left pin, swung through by Lexi Brands. They get it to Vrabeck, and she's able to slam it down off the hands of the diving Avery Olson, the freshman in the back row. And nice job there with a righty swing to get some velocity on it from Vrabeck, a junior outside hitter. And again, we talked about it briefly in the open. It is a Spring Lake Park team who bring back essentially their entire varsity rotation from last year's team, but they did have to replace their top outside hitter on an otherwise intact crew from a team that last year went to 6-22, but it was a lot of Panther players playing in their first varsity season, getting significant minutes, and the Panthers not showing their experience there. Again, another disjointed serve receive here by SLP. And it will hand it back to Totino-Grace. 2 players calling for it and colliding up of the front row. You see it there, Eleanor Ferris. Not on the same page with Leah Vrabeck. Ferris, senior middle blocker, didn't see much of her last year with the Panthers. And Ferris, I think, is the one, number 2, who has basically come in. Here's Ferris right down the middle and drives it down for Spring Lake Park. I think Ferris is the one who's largely stepping up to varsity today because Addie Wolfgang is out sick, their junior middle. And so Ferris seeing some elevated action here for Spring Lake Park today. And the Panthers have it back in a 8-5 game in the first set. It was 7-3 Totino-Grace at one point. As the Panthers get the serve over. And a little impromptu attack there from Lexi Brands in system from the Panthers. That was tipped off the block on the swing from the right side. That's Eva Starcevic, number 10 with a kill. Panthers just their second time notching back-to-back points here in the first set. And a little joust up with the net. Nice job to keep it over by SLP, and that did just paint the corner there for Totino-Grace. Kira Hansen, the sophomore, celebrating the point. 9-6, Eagles lead it. There's Kendall Umberger, junior, back to serve. Eagles have mostly been running a 5-1 offensive system this year. There's Umberger with the little back set. Swung through by the Eagles' number 9, Hurlbrink. And now the Eagles get it in system to their outside hitter, Brands. Big block up with the net. They'll award the point to Spring Lake Park on a double hit. Eleanor Ferris, again, making her impact felt, kept it on that Totino-Grace end off the block. And the Panthers, because of that big block, earned the point. I think the double hit was Brands there. Just trying to keep the play alive. That'll be a service error for Vrabec and the Panthers. So this is their first game where we talked with Coach Onstad before the game. They're going to run a 6-2 today. So number 9, Annie Hurlbrink, who is normally the setter in the 5-1, where you'd have just one setter. Little cross-court kill here, but the Panthers has pounded it down for SLP. They get one back here. Who is it, 22, it looks like? And Amelia Wordlaw will be the one to serve here for Spring Lake Park. I think it was Nora Schmidt with that last kill. And that block, again, will notch one in the column here for Spring Lake Park. 3 straight for the Panthers, and it gets them back within 1. Number 9, Annie Hurlbrink, is going to rotate up to the front row for Totino-Grace, and she's playing as a right side hitter for the first time this year. There's Hurlbrink over on the right pin. This one just shoveled over from the left side by Sainum. That is tipped off of Hurlbrink, and it will stay on the Totino-Grace end. A point for the Panthers, their largest run of the day. 4 in a row to tie this one up at 10-all. The hot hand right now for the Panthers is Nora Schmidt, the sophomore outside hitter. She has gotten the last couple of kills here for SLP. And here's Wordlaw, who is an all-conference performer at the libero position last year for Spring Lake Park. She wears the gray jersey for the Panthers. So I'm driven over with some steam on it from Vrabec. And they'll say a lift call on Totino-Grace. That's a kill for Vrabec, her second. And the Panther run stretches out to 5-0 as SLP have taken their first lead since it was 2-1 earlier in the set. They will whistle the play dead and award a point. I think the call they made was that, I don't think it was a rotation error. I think they said one of the Eagles crossed over the back line. And so it'll give Spring Lake Park a 6th straight point, 12-10. Nice little pass off the net, and a good effort there by Olivia Kinkle, the junior middle, to kind of go with the little impromptu pass from Hurlbrink. Nice little set off the right side. That's what the 6-2 offense can do. You can have two setters out there. Hurlbrink right now positioned to be a right-sided hitter, but went in and set that time for Totino-Grace. Little swing off the tip. Autumn Houston, the sophomore, notches her first kill. And Houston's spot will rotate to the back row. There's another look at the last Panther point. This is Taylor Blana, one of the two setters in the 6-2 for Spring Lake Park, and she will notch the first service ace of the game for either team. And she'll go back to back. Spring Lake Park have completely changed the complexion of this game, as they have strung together a run that's going to force a timeout here out of Totino-Grace and Pilar Onstad, the Spring Lake Park alum, taking the timeout. This is a 9-0 Spring Lake Park run right now. Matt Dean on the call with you here for North Metro TV. Here's what Spring Lake Park has got coming up. Totino-Grace tonight. They will match up next week, Tuesday, against North St. Paul here in the home gym, and then head on the road at Armstrong with another 2-match week and a quick turnaround to the Tuesday, Thursday. They'll do the same thing again the following week as they host Osseo and Monticello. So for the next 5, including tonight, are at home here at Spring Lake Park. And the timeout taken by Coach Onstad to settle down the Eagles here, who at one point looked like they were going to cruise to a set 1 victory, up 7-3 early, and a block here by the Panthers keeps the momentum here on Spring Lake Park's side. All right, so we said it. The Panthers are without their 6-foot middle blocker Addie Wolfgang tonight, but Jade Durkheising and her replacement Eleanor Ferris have been more than capable of putting up a good block for Spring Lake Park so far here tonight. Well, that'll snap the drought for the Eagles. Haley Sainum off the block here, delivers one back for Totino-Grace. Durkheising got her paws on it, but able to angle that shot off the block for the Totino-Grace point. 12-16, Eagles down by 4 and make it 5. That's the last thing they needed right there, a service error. Second of the set for the Eagles. The Panthers have 1 ace, 1 error. And now Chloe Rode will rotate back here to take the serve for Spring Lake Park. Oh, good serve. It might have just been out, but she was towing that back line so close. Ashley Anderson, the libero, had to back up and try and get this one. That might have just been going out, but it was too close to take for Anderson. So the Panthers with their second ace. And right away you see why this junior comes in as a serve specialist here in the back row for the Panthers. They're going to award the point here to, no, they're just going to have him redo the serve. That was quickly stopped. Lily Lawrenson is the State High School League official who is the low judge today. Up on the ladder is Jenny Kimlinger. And that one driven too deep by Leah Vrabeck. TG with the point. (18-13) Panthers here in the first set. We mentioned these two teams met up last year. Eagles top the Panthers 3-1 in Fridley at Totino-Grace High School. Oh, there's an authoritative swing from Spring Lake Park. and their sophomore Autumn Houston picks up her second kill of this set. And she just went right after the block, deflecting it off of the right side, sophomore Kira Hansen. TG, quick set up of the net. They try to get Caspers involved again. Little joust up of the net, stays on the Spring Lake Park end. Backing up was Vrabeck. It was not an ideal set, and on her back heels wasn't able to adjust and get it over. Totino-Grace make it 19-14. Spring Lake Park's lead still by 5. Clara White, defensive specialist, backing up that back row for the Panthers. They pass it around to Vrabeck. Good up there by White, the one who took the serve. Hansen to the back row. The up by Rode. And finesse back over here by Spring Lake Park. Soft touch up of the net by Eleanor Ferris. And the seniors stepping in nicely here for the Panthers today as they're absent one of their starting middles. And Ferris has got a couple of kills here in this opening set. That is Durkheisen coming out. Rotating in on the back row. And Wright, one of the Panthers setters. Should get us back underway with Spring Lake Park leading at 20-14. Playing at 25 here in the first set. Panthers trying to jump out to a 1-0 lead in the match. That'll help things. Leah Vrabeck puts it down. 21-14 Spring Lake Park. Vrabeck with 3 kills so far to lead the Panthers here in the first set. This game turned on its head after it was 9-6. Totino-Grace, they led it 7-3 at one point. And TG will get it back. Vrabeck, you bet. Spring Lake Park are 3 away here in the first set. SLP out to a 6-4 start. Their best 10-game start to a season in 9 years. Last Spring Lake Park team that got out to a better start than this were the 2016 team that started 8-2. They finished that year 16-12, and the setter Ann Wright for Spring Lake Park there, she was playing it close to the net. It was a tough play. She just grazed up against that net. And that'll award the point to Totino-Grace. And it's now 22-16. That team finished 16-12 back in 2016. That is Panther volleyball's last winning season. They played a very tough Northwest Suburban Conference and have gotten out some tough starts, including a losing streak of 3 or more games each of the last 4 years. That one just shoveled back over here by the Eagles' Haley Sainum. And a little cross-court dump set from the left side to get the Eagles a much-needed point here, as they've got to score 8 before the Panthers get to 3 here in the first set. That one just whacked over by Ferris. The Eagles get it to Kinkle, who drops it over on the other side of the Panther end. Olivia Kinkle able to finesse that one around the Panther block. And TG a little 3-0 run to get back into this one after it was 22-15. Panthers were behind early, went on a 9-0 run to jump out to a 15-11 lead, I believe it was. We'll check our scorecard here between sets as the Panthers continue to roll here. Up and involved in the block, Eleanor Ferris has been active. It looked like doing the most of the work was Nora Schmidt, the sophomore OH. And the Panthers now 2 away here in the first set. Little back set to number 9, Hurlbrink. Slams it into the block. An attack from the back row is stung too deep by Lexi Brands. Back-to-back for the Panthers, and it'll be set point coming up here for SLP. Amelia Wordlaw, the all-conference libero from last season, will swing away for the Panthers. Kiss the tape. Kept alive by Totino-Grace. Hurlbrink swings it over. Back set from Schmidt. That's going to be swung wide into the Totino-Grace bench by Starcevich. So an attack error will keep the hopes alive here for Totino-Grace. Even if the odds are stacked against you, service error out the back here will end the set by Ashley Anderson. Spring Lake Park leading a 9-0 run to jump out to a 15-11 lead, and they take the first set 1-0 here in the Panther Gym. You're watching Spring Lake Park Girls Volleyball on North Metro TV.
Picked up, Lions will play. Pushed over, Richardson, a good dig. Up for Olmstead, off the block and down. Panthers take the fourth, 26-24, off of Pilar Olmstead.
Hey, we know her. That's Pilar Olmstead, the now head coach of the Totino-Grace Eagles. Little North Metro TV throwback all the way back when she was a freshman here at Spring Lake Park High School. A class of 2017 alum. She is the Panthers' all-time kills and digs leader. Her second year as head coach, she is making her first visit back to her alma mater since taking the Totino-Grace head coach job. Well, her Eagles down 1-0 here in the best of 5 after losing the first set to the Panthers 25-19. The Eagles, a lot of good things going here early in that first set. They went on a 6-0 run to eventually take a 7-3 lead. But the Panthers biting back. Joy Johnston didn't call a timeout. She let her team work it out on the floor. After the Panthers were down 10-6, SLP went in a 9-0 run, took a lead that they would not relinquish, rolling on to the 25-19 win in the first set. And the Panthers, who crucially went down in a pretty close-knit first set in this matchup last year. It was tied 25-all. Down the stretch of the first set, the Eagles would win 27-25. They would take the second set in a close one, and the Panthers, they would do enough to force a fourth set, but when you jump out to a 1-0 lead, certainly a 2-0 one, that is huge in the best of 5 format. And Spring Lake Park out to a good start here, leading on that 9-0 run to claim set number 1 here in the Panther Gym. Before last year, Totino-Grace had lost the previous 5 meetings with the Panthers. Pretty even series where Totino-Grace has the edge, 14-12, dating back to 2006. The Eagles and the Panthers have played at least once in every year in that stretch, although it had been recently the Panthers getting the better of the rivalry. 2 schools separated by less than 3 miles down the highway here up the North Burbs. Matt Dean with you here on North Metro TV. It'll be the Eagles to serve first here in set number 2. And they'll get us underway. SLP in system to their outside hitter, Nora Schmidt, who delivers the blow here to get the Panthers out to a 1-0 lead. Schmidt, we had her for 2 kills in the first set. Schmidt will sub out as her spot rotates to the back row. And they'll bring in Chloe Rode, who had one of a couple of the aces the Panthers had in the first set. Makes it tough. Haley Sanum with the up. Free ball back over here for the Panthers. Blana back setting to the right side. Durkheising into the block. And the impressive junior Lily Kaspers up there to keep it on that end and tie us up at 1-all. Oh, Kaspers, I mean, she's not just tall. She can get up and time the jump perfectly there for Totino-Grace. Tied at 1. Haley Sanum has the serve for TG. Eagles went on a 6-0 run to jump out to the 7-3 lead back in that first set, but shortly thereafter when they led 10-6, the Panthers would go on that 9-0 run. It's going to be a service error for the Eagles. They had 3 of those in the first set. Panthers had the pair of aces and just 1 service error in that opening set. Here's Autumn Houston. Sophomore middle blocker gets it over. From the left side, little teardrop shot from Lexi Brands. Houston setting a little impromptu here to Leah Vrabeck, but again, it's Libby Kaspers putting up the block here. The Panthers did a good job, really, of taking advantage when Kaspers was not up in the front row, and that's kind of from the eye test when the Panthers feasted in that first set. They're down one of their middle blockers here tonight in Addie Wolfgang with an illness, but it is tough to get through that wall when Totino-Grace have Kasper up there. One swung through the left side by Lexi Brands. Panthers set it up, a little tip drive through by Vrabeck. Brands right back, the up from Wordlaw. Back set from Blana, deflected back down to Durkheising. Passing around to Vrabeck, she drives it through. Here's Totino-Grace with Brands on the left side, too deep, and the Panthers outlast Totino-Grace for a heck of a point there. Back and forth we go. And what is now a 3-2 second set. Panthers up 1-0 in the match after winning the opening set 25-19. We showed you the highlights of Pilar Onstad from her freshman season. She got her first start as an 8th grader here at Spring Lake Park High School. She would go on to play 5 years, as we mentioned, finish as SLP's all-time kills and digs leader. There's a good sign for Totino-Grace. Olivia Kinkle up of the line rather than Kaspers, and they come up with a big block here to answer back for Totino-Grace. Neither team has scored 2 points in a row. Onstad would go on to play Division II volleyball at the University of Arkansas Fort Smith at the Division II level, where she was an all-conference player. She was a hitter, as you saw from the highlights. They're going to award that point to Spring Lake Park on a double hit by the Eagles. And again, we continue to seesaw back and forth here. Neither team stringing together a run of even 2 in a row, and it's 4-3 Panthers. She was an outside hitter at SLP, transitioned to be an all-conference libero at the University of Arkansas Fort Smith. And that will be a point for Spring Lake Park in our first chain of 2 in a row here, the second set. After finishing up in college, she got some coaching experience at her alma mater, was an assistant at Hamlin for a stretch, and got a grad assistant job at Lander University while she was finishing up a master's degree. Here's the 3rd point in a row for, oh, beg your pardon, yeah, that went out the back line, so that'll be a point for Totino-Grace. And then came back home here to Minnesota. Took the Totino-Grace job last year, and also coaches club volleyball over at Crossfire, where a lot of these players play their club volleyball in Champlin during the high school offseason. Nora Schmidt with the last point for the Panthers. He is very familiar with this Spring Lake Park team. Coached the specific squad at Crossfire that featured the Panthers setter Taylor Blana and Jade Durkheising on the 17s team at Crossfire. It is 7-4 Spring Lake Park after this point. Right-sided attack through from Hurlbrink. All right, number 9 getting her first kill. We mentioned this is her first game. She's the setter for Totino-Grace, normally in a 5-1. They're running a 6-2 tonight, so for the first time, Hurlbrink is up there playing the front row as a right side. So that's her first kill as an opposite side hitter. Here's Sainham. That was actually Brands that floated it through. Setting his right, back row attack, too strong from Leah Vrabek. It'll give it back to Totino-Grace for their second straight point. What is now a 7-6 second set. Flipped over by Anderson, the libero. Cross-court attack. Oh, that might have been going out. It was close from our vantage point. Eva Starcevic, the senior, puts it down for Spring Lake Park off of a Totino-Grace deflection. 8-6. SLP with a 2-point lead. Comes back to Taylor Blana, one of the setters. Overpass, and Houston trying to dunk it down. We will say I think the hands went over the net there for Totino-Grace. So although the joust fell on the Panther end, it is awarded a point to Spring Lake Park. Here's Blana. Little quick set up of the net for Caspers. We're able to get it through on the second effort. Schmidt tried to drive it from the left side pin. They'll reset with Wordlaw. Back to Schmidt. The up by Anderson here in the Totino-Grace end. Jousted through by Hurlbrink. Nice dive there by Wordlaw with the up to keep it alive. And fired through by Vrabek. A mishandle here by Totino-Grace with a point for Spring Lake Park. This is another one where SLP just outlasted the Eagles there. I think they'll award a kill to Vrabek. It is 10-6 Spring Lake Park. They've scored 3 in a row. Make it 4. Service ace for Spring Lake Park and Taylor Blana. This will prompt a timeout here, I believe, coming from the Totino-Grace end. Second taken by head coach Pilar Onstad. Joy Johnston, her head coach. Pilar told us before the game, the former Panther, Joy Johnston was her favorite head coach that she ever had at any level coming up to the youth ranks. When you are in high school, you can't play for your high school coach during club season. Right, so we talked about how there's a lot of Panthers on the Crossfire club team, and basically the entire Totino-Grace team play at Crossfire in Champlin in the offseason, but none of them have Coach Onstad as their coach. It's not allowed. When Pilar Onstad was a senior, she had finished up her high school career, and then she played club volleyball at Northern Lights for Coach Johnston. Wanted to get more Coach Johnston tutelage before she headed off to college, she told us. Here's Taylor Blana with a serve for Spring Lake Park. Panthers leading at 1-0 in the match. 11-6 here in the second set. That one, I think, tipped off the block there. No, they'll say that went clean through and out the back end on the swing by Nora Schmidt. So the point awarded to Totino-Grace. It'll snap the 4-0 Panther run. Nice work by the back judge there. I gotta say, volleyball parents, and those are usually the ones who are volunteering as the line judges. I mean, volleyball parents, some of the most honest of any sporting event that you will come across. Can you imagine a parent calling any sort of consequential play in any other sport? I don't think so. Libby Casper said, I don't think so, up with the net. Comes up with a block. Totino-Grace with the second straight point. Just an honest Spring Lake Park man back there saying, all right, look, that was out. No point for Spring Lake Park. What if we had to have a football parent make holding calls on Friday nights? I don't think it would go over as well. Well, Totino-Grace have answered back from a 4-0 Panther run with 3 in a row of their own after the Coach Onstad timeout. Casper's just whacking it back over. Working around to the left pin. That one is put down by Nora Schmidt. 5th kill to lead the way here for Spring Lake Park tonight. And the 2 players we highlighted in the open, Ted LaRue in the truck loves to see it. They are showing out. Schmidt will take the bench here with her 5th kill. We've got Casper's for, I think, just 1 kill, but her block has been the key to the game so far for Totino-Grace. That one is tipped. And they'll say off of one of the Eagles last for the Spring Lake Park point. All right, so Schmidt just subbed out. They bring in Chloe Rode as they have been to serve. Schmidt good from that left side pin, but doesn't play all around for Totino-Grace. And that one wrapped around the antenna and came over into the Spring Lake Park end of the floor. As Totino-Grace did their best to try to keep it alive. Point for the Panthers. Rode another serve. Hansen with the attack. SLP. Wardlaw passing. And that one driven over by Vrabeck. Nice little finish on the play there. Autumn Houston, I'm not sure if she got a touch to that up at the net, but went up and maybe affected the play with the shadow block here. Yo, she did get her hands on it. So Houston knocked it through. Good look at the replay, and that one out the back here in a service error for the Panthers. Just their 2nd of the game. They have not made a lot of mistakes in the service game. As many aces as they have errors, 2 apiece. And Totino-Grace have made 4 serving errors so far. Avery Olson makes her, I think, no, she came in a little bit in the first set, but she'll hit her first action here in the second with the serve. With authority right down the middle. Autumn Houston able to drive that one through the block. Here for Spring Lake Park, top middle blocker for the Panthers last year, and he's been a key cog here in Spring Lake Park's 6-4 start. The best the Panthers have had in 10 games to start a season in near a decade. Blana, little quick set up of the line there, smashed through by Ferris. Ferris tried to shovel it back over, and she was caught leaning. Less than an ideal pass up of the net as the Panthers were just trying to keep it alive, and 16-10 turns to 16-11. A welcome sight for Spring Lake Park as Casper's sits in the rotation of the back row here for Totino-Grace. This is Clara White serving here in the pink shoes for the Eagles. White, a senior DS. From out of bounds, big swing by Durkheisen. Got a lot on it, but good up by Hansen. And a good swing there to finish off the play. Lexi Brands with her 2nd kill of the day. She's been one of the better players on this Totino-Grace team this year, elevated to their top outside hitter position. Brands, the 5'10 junior, she was playing right side last year, so her 3rd year on varsity, but her first where she's been an outside hitter. Wardlaw with a pass up at the net. Durkheisen able to knife it over. 16-12, Spring Lake Park with the lead. Wardlaw passing now to Vrabeck, who hammers it to the back row. They get it around. The Eagles do again to Lexi Brands. Her second straight kill here for Totino-Grace. Lexi Brands heating up here in set number 2. Nice shot there to get it over the block. Primarily set by Eleanor Ferris. And just kind of rainbowed that one through and found the soft spot in the defense. 16-13 with the Panthers still leading it. And that will snap a 3-0 Totino-Grace run. Just a little misread there by TG. It'll get the serve back here into the Panthers' hands. That is Taylor Blana sitting and right. One setter comes in for another. The sophomore replaces the senior. Earl Brink with a pass over. Batted back through by Spring Lake Park, and Brands can't find that back line. Brands disagrees. And she'll come over and discuss it with the up official. That's Jenny Kimlinger on the ladder tonight. And nothing's going to change. It's going to remain 18-13. It was close. I mean, that is a very tough call for the ladder judge. He didn't get a great look at it. That might have just gotten the back line, but too close to call. And Leah Vrabeck extends the Panther lead here to 19-13. Another attempt at that back line, and that one clearly missed from Lexi Brands. No argument about it. 20-13, the Spring Lake Park lead. Brands, okay, so she was arguing that that was tipped. So it was out the back line, but I think her argument there was, did that glance off a fingertip of one of the Panthers, was what was being discussed with the ladder official. And again, these officials, they called a nice game. A call like that, extremely difficult to make when it maybe just ever so touched one of the Panther fingertips. That was Eleanor Ferris with the last bat over for Spring Lake Park. Look, at that point, you got to call what you hear. And it missed out the back. Point for Spring Lake Park. And that last one, by the way, awarded here to TG. They trail by 6. Panthers 5 away from taking a 2-0 lead in the match, and a service error at a crucial time here for the Eagles. As that one's sent into the net by Haley Seenum, the top outside hitter for the Eagles this year. Kept up by Brands. And they work it around here. They'll say a lift called against the Eagles. Panthers 3 away, 22-14. Another serve here from Vrabeck. A mishandle up the front row by Totino-Grace. 23-14 on the overpass here, finished off by Nora Schmidt. And Spring Lake Park here 2 away from jumping out to the 2-0 lead. That one out the side. That's the third service error from the Panthers here today. And the junior, Lexi Brands, now serving for the Eagles. Wardlaw with the up, right to the center, right in system as that one swung through by Spring Lake Park. Ava Starkovic was the one who kept it over, but on the second effort, TG fights it through. Battled over by Haley Seenum here, who finished it off with the kill. Able to split that Panther block. and paint the corner here to keep Totino-Grace alive. 23-16. Up here by the Panthers. Not ideal, but hey, just keep it alive. Let the other team mess it up. Leah Vrabeck just kept the play moving, got it over, and Spring Lake Park awarded with the point. That'll make it set point here in game number 2. Wordlaw with a serve. Little quick set right up at the net. That's a point for Spring Lake Park. Finished off by Autumn Houston as she drives it off the Eagle block. And the Panthers jump out to a 2-0 lead here in the best of 5 from Spring Lake Park High School. Back on here at Spring Lake Park High School, the Panthers have leapt out to a 2-0 lead in the best of 5. They had won 5 in a row until falling 3-1 in Fridley last year. This one got out to a skitterish start. Back and forth we went, tied at 3 apiece. The Panthers never trailed here in set number 2. They raced out to a 4-0 run to take a 10-6 lead. And neither team really putting together much of anything in terms of a lengthy run in this second set. Spring Lake Park is solid. They got a lot of different hitters involved. Autumn Houston woke up for that middle blocker spot, number 19, key for Spring Lake Park in the second. And just a good team effort. Houston up to 5 kills in the game, number 19. Nora Schmidt leads the squad. And over on this Totino-Grace end, as we talked about, Libby Caspers has been a standout. Lexi Brands, the junior wearing number 17, had a solid second set, but and TG, imperative, it feels like, for them to come out and take a lead and get off on the right foot here in the third set. The last Totino-Grace lead was 10-6 in the first set. That was followed by a 9-0 Panther run. It was tied up at 16 all, but SLP never trailed for the rest of that set, and Spring Lake Park never trailing in the second as well. And they lead at 2-0 here in the match, trying to finish off a sweep of the Eagles. Panthers trying to make it 6 for 6 now in sets played this week. They won it in 3 games on Monday in Park Center. And as we talked about, Spring Lake Park, Coach Onstad's old alma mater, are out to their best start in nearly a decade. 6-4, trying to go to 7-4 with a win here today against Totino-Grace. Matt Dean with you here on North Metro TV. I want to give our great crew a shout out here in Spring Lake Park, Minnesota tonight, as the Panthers start out set number 3 here with an ace. Taylor Blana, the senior, getting SLP out of the right foot. In the truck, we got Ted LaRue, Joe Hoyley, Elena Arnes, as well as A.V. Becker. Our camera crew of Mike Peterson, Charles Brolin, Rob Clark, and Alex Battles. Totino-Grace and Spring Lake Park matching up here in the battle of the Northwest Suburban Conference. So a good fight there by Totino-Grace, playing it off the rafters. Kira Hansen couldn't quite flip it back over here. And that'll be another kill for Nora Schmidt, unofficially in our book. We've got her for 7 kills tonight to lead the Panthers. And Bolano, another serve here as the Panthers jump out to a 2-0, what turns into a 3-0 lead here in the third set. Again, Panthers have not trailed since going on that 9-0 run in the first set. Talked about how Totino-Grace needs to build an early lead. The Panthers want to put a squash to that. And finish this one off in 3. Good start to it. Autumn Houston from down the middle. 5'11" sophomore with her 6th kill of the night. 4-0 Spring Lake Park. Blana will do it again. Blana, yes, gets the ace. Second of the set, 4th of the match in terms of team aces by Spring Lake Park. They are controlling things with the serve tonight. One batted through by Kaspers. Just a reactionary fist up there by Jade Durkheising. Hey, sometimes just get a hand to it. Not your textbook play, but it falls for a point for the Panthers, and everything dropping for Spring Lake Park right now. They've got the 6-0 lead. 7-0. Taylor Blana lays down her 3rd ace here to start this set number 3. And it's a 7-0 Panther run. Pilar Onstad takes a timeout here for Totino-Grace, and Joy Johnston will have a chance to circle things up for Spring Lake Park. Coach Johnston, win today would mark her 92nd in her Spring Lake Park career. Approaching 100 career wins. And we got some other Spring Lake Park volleyball coaches here in the building. There's Shelly Deegan, coach of the boys program. And when you got a boys program as good as Spring Lake Park have had, and they put it together as an official Minnesota State High School League program, what, last 2-3 years now? That's just elevating the quality of volleyball. Maybe not a coincidence the girls program has stepped up their game here this year. That one slammed through here by SLP Nora Schmidt. Everything's going right here for the Panthers. 8-0 run here to start out the 3rd set. Blana, oh, she's got another ace. This has really been a terrific team effort here by the Panthers. We got Nora Schmidt as the kills leader. I mean, Taylor Blana quarterbacking the offense. And she's putting herself into a post-game interview, I think, right now with this back-breaking 3rd set from a Totino-Grace perspective. Kaspers tries to break the drought, and a howitzer handcuffed the libero Amelia Wordlaw. And Kaspers will break that 9-0 run that Spring Lake Park got out to here to begin set number 3. First serve of the set comes from Annie Hurlbrink, and it's off of Hurlbrink. As that one's driven back over on a tip by Spring Lake Park. Autumn Houston with the hammer down here for the Panthers. 10-1, SLP with the lead. There's the back set by Blana. Right in stride for Durkheising. Kept alive by the Panthers. Oh, what a play there by Leah Vrabeck to keep it down on that end. Quick set to Houston. Runs it into the block. Guess who? Libby Kaspers right there in the way for Totino-Grace. Well, despite it's been a tough night for the Eagles, Kaspers has found the way to impress here for the Eagles. Solo block there. They get the 2nd point on the board for the Eagles here in the 3rd. Panthers 25-19, 25-16 in the first 2 sets. Flippered over by Vrabeck. Eagles push it over for a free ball, but they'll say a double hit called against the Eagles. That'll make it 11-2 Spring Lake Park. And the Panthers, it is still early, but look to be well on their way to a second sweep in the last 3 days here in conference play. That one trying to toe the line there was Lexi Brands. She'll miss the mark on the attack error. 12-2 Spring Lake Park with a lead. Mentioned they got the rest of the week off due to the Panthers. They were busy at the Farmington Invite this past weekend where they played 4 best-of-3 matches. Traveled to the South Burbs in Farmington last weekend, so a well-deserved weekend off after the Panthers went 3-1 over the weekend in Farmington. And then swept Park Center on Monday, turned it around less than 48 hours later, and look to be on their way to a sweep here yet again. They will play next Tuesday. We showed you the schedule, hosting North St. Paul here at home. The Panthers are looking ahead to that weekend off. They're trying to finish it off here in the third. Leah Vrabeck painting the corner there down the line for Spring Lake Park. Another kill for the junior. Caspers will sit. The setters will cycle out here for Spring Lake Park. Blana sitting down, and Ann Wright, the 10th grader who got significant minutes as one of the 2 setters in the SLP offense last year as a freshman. And we talked about it, Spring Lake Park, who won 6 matches all of last season, have won 6. Soon to be 7 here in their first 10 games this year. And they basically reset the whole program last year, replacing just about everybody from that team 2 years ago. And Wright was one of the 2 setters that were replacing an all-conference player in Bree Nussbaum, who played, it felt like, 14 different sports here at Spring Lake Park. 13-4, SLP with a lead. They keep it alive, and Wardlaw with the rare free ball over here for the Panthers this set. Oh, good block put up, led by Eleanor Ferris. They get up and deny the attack from Lexi Brands. There's Ferris. First hand in, might have been from the right side hitter for Spring Lake Park. They'll make some substitutions here up at the line and bring in some fresh legs as Rode, the junior DS. Her spot came up to the front row. They've got Ferris, Schmidt, and the setter Wright up at the front row right now. And everything working for Spring Lake Park as they lay it down, and another from Nora Schmidt. She's approaching double digits in the book in kills, the sophomore. (15-4), the Panther lead in this potentially decisive third set. Lexi Brands having some say in that will make it 15-5. And Brands' spot rotating back for the serve. After picking up the kill, we've got it as her 4th tonight. The Panthers lost, as we mentioned, at TG last year. The last visit the Eagles had to Spring Lake Park, the Panthers also swept in that instance. We'll award the point here to SLP. That was on September 13th in 2023. And again, this has been an even series when you kind of go back to the early 2000s, since these 2 schools have played every year circa 2006. But Spring Lake Park have more often been the winner recently. A win tonight will be their 6th in the last 7, with last year's 3-1 loss in Fridley notwithstanding. Wardlaw serving once again for the Panthers. Little teardrop shot over by Sainum. Couldn't cross it over the net as Spring Lake Park set up the block. Autumn Houston leading the way. Wordlaw with another serve for the Panthers. 18-5. The Panthers are 7 away. Nice pass by Wright into the breadbasket for Nora Schmidt. Couldn't put it down for Spring Lake Park. They'll get a free ball to set it up again, but that's going to be 4 hits on that end of the floor for Totino-Grace. Look, when the Panthers came out, they looked a little disjointed like this. We're down 10-6 in the first set. When the Eagles came out cruising, they were up 7-3, and the Panthers were having trouble with communication a little bit, but settled in, and they have looked the better team, starting with that 9-0 run in the first set. Again, we're sounding like a broken record, but the Panthers have not trailed since going on that 9-0 run in the first set. They have not looked back and are on their way to a sweep. There's a rare miscue, as it was just a hot potato on Spring Lake Park's end of the floor. Autumn Houston and a misshapen pass mishandled by her at the net. It'll give it back to Totino-Grace here with the serve. Avery Olson serving for the Eagles. That one just shoveled back over, and SLP lays it down. Nice little teardrop shot. Starcevic, the senior, picks up her second kill, the right side hitter. Here's Blana. She has had 3 service aces here this set for Spring Lake Park. Actually make that 4. The Panthers have had 4, and it was, I believe, all on that 9-0 run where Blana laid down, remember, 4 aces here to begin the set. There she is setting up with the front line, Blana, and she'll tee one up for Harper Kleiber, a sophomore getting her first run here in the third set. And she gets involved, and this is what you want if you're Spring Lake Park. You start to run up the score, take a big lead, you can get everybody involved off the bench, and Kleiber getting in with some action. All right, look, she gets one. We'll give her a couple. Blana with her first service error today. It'll happen. That is the 4th of the day for the Panthers as a team. They've had 6 aces. Totino-Grace without a service ace here tonight. 21-8, Spring Lake Park leads it. Blana passing. Off the right side, coming in with Schmidt. And a block by Schmidt. And she was all over the court on that sequence to pick up the point for Spring Lake Park. Nicely done. And now Schmidt will be subbed out for Maria Rowe. And another new entrant into the game. That might be the last we see of Schmidt here. You would think in a 22-8 third set. And Rowe, the senior DS, will get a chance here to serve for the Panthers. He'll be credited an ace on Rowe. I think actually an attack error, as it was mishandled and pushed out of bounds when it came back on the other end of the floor. 2 away are the Panthers. Totino-Grace just trying to find a little bit better play here down the stretch. Autumn Houston puts it down for Spring Lake Park with an exclamation point. Wow, Autumn saved something for the match-deciding point. That was clean. 8th kill for the sophomore. And now this is Rowe trying to finish it with a serve. TG gets it over, tipped off the block. Blana setting. That is Vrabeck with the drive through. TG calls for it, and Brand's the one barking at it to get it over. Big drive there, and Harper Kleiber finishes off the sweep here for Spring Lake Park. 25-8. The Panthers come back from 10-6 down in the first set, never trail again. They sweep their rivals here in the Panther Gym. We got post-game interviews coming your way as we wrap this one up for the Panther Gym next on North Metro TV. All right, back at Spring Lake Park High School, Panthers finish off a 3-set sweep, their second of the week, as they top Totino-Grace in a Northwest Suburban Conference matchup. We're here with Nora Schmidt and Taylor Blana after the Panther win. We're going to start here with Nora. Let's talk about the beginning of this game. You guys were down, I think it was 10-4 early. It looked like a little disjointed, struggling a little bit. You guys ripped off a 9-0 run and then never trailed the rest of the match on your way to a sweep. So, Nora, I mean, tell me about what you guys were talking about. It felt like maybe a timeout was going to get called, but you guys kind of sorted it out in the court, got through it. What were you guys kind of talking about on the floor with each other to rally back like that?
I think we started off like a little rough with just nerves and everything, but in our huddles we really used the time to just breathe and come together as a team and talk about like strategy and just build each other up, and I think it got a lot better throughout the game and really helped us like come back in that second and third set.
Yeah, 7-3 before the 9-0 run. A lot of different hitters got involved tonight. It was, I guess, most often you, but a lot of different hitters involved. So some credit for Taylor for working that around. But what did you guys show tonight in terms of like the depth you guys have of different attackers you can use in a game?
I think we changed it up a lot so that they never knew what they were getting. We really found open spots, and I think everyone just has different skills when they're hitting, and we all kind of just put that together, and the setters made it really easy to just get those big swings in.
All right, and lastly, Totino-Grace, kind of a rival. Like, they're less than 3 miles away down the road. What's that mean to when you guys beat Totino-Grace like that?
It's just really fun, you know, beating like rival teams or schools. Like, it's really fun for the team, and we had a lot of fun. Yeah.
All right, again, thanks, Nora. We're also here with Taylor Blana, setter for the Panthers tonight. And Taylor, you guys got to match up with your club coach, I'm told, a Spring Lake Park alum who holds some records. It's probably a friendly rivalry, but is that meaningful when you guys beat Totino-Grace, a close rival here in town?
I think it means a lot, especially because of last year was a rough game for us, and I think coming back from that, and I think we went into this game like really wanting it and having a really competitive mindset, and I think that was really important just throughout the entire game.
We talked with Nora about how you guys rallied back from the shaky start. You guys finished really strong, 9-0 to start the first set. You had, I think, 4 aces in that run. What was the mentality going in to not let up, when you guys led 2-0?
I think we just really wanted to finish it. I think we had a lot of adrenaline and energy, and I think we really used that in our play. Before the game, we talked about like a lot of teamwork and like coming together and just like really taking advantage of the pressure, and I think we did a really nice job of that tonight.
All right, one of the better starts the Panthers have had to a season. They're now 7-4. Again, thanks to Taylor and Nora. Thanks to Ted LaRue and our entire North Metro TV crew. Matt Dean signing out here from Spring Lake Park High School. Panthers sweep the Eagles 3-0 tonight.
Thank you.